welcome to our session on how your data strategy helps drive the resilience of your business. I could not be more honored to have the panel that we have with us today. And we are just going to kick it right off and go to our first question. Our first question is for Marco with the BMW Group. Marco, let's just start with the data. How do you know you have the right data? How do you know you have the right amount of data to do what you need to do for your business?
Yeah, so we have a very global platform organization, and of course, they love building tech. Yeah? So the initial thought, of course, was collect as much as possible, but obviously that's not the right approach. Yeah? So we ask, you always have to ask the question, what is the business goal you want to achieve based on the data? And when we started our journey with the Cloud Data Hub, it's our central data platform built on AWS, first thing we did is really to prioritize use cases from a business perspective. What is the biggest return on investment we can get? And that is also basically then the rank where we started kicking off our use cases. And we set up a data transformation office, ensured that we have uniform data structures, same data access, quality, a governance framework, so everything you would expect. And then based on this return on investment driven prioritization, what we did, we set up roles in business and IT equally. Yeah? So we had data stewards who are responsible for the semantic, knowing all the process and domain knowledge, and on the other side, the data engineers who were responsible for all the technical aspects. And that's how we grew our Cloud Data Hub over time. And up to now, we have more than 40,000 users in our data and AI ecosystem internally using our platforms. We have around about 14,000 S3 buckets, 7,000 data assets, and we support more than 1,500 use cases.
Those are some pretty amazing statistics, actually. Yeah. And so if you think about that concept of a data steward, that sounds very pervasive.
Exactly. I want to comment on this data steward concept. I think data steward and data domain expert are so critical, particularly for vertical domain data science program. In my, I am working for the legal domain, so it's equivalent to the legal SME or legal domain data expert. We literally just require each of the data scientists to work very closely with data steward and data domain experts. We even, for some of my teams, we even ask the data scientist team to pass the legal domain exam before they can work on any solutions.
Right.
Kind of makes data part of the culture. That's certainly true in BMW, right? Definitely.
So I think at one point, when you create a central platform, you have this winner-takes-it-all momentum. And I think once the teams realize that I already find a lot of data assets in the platform I can reuse, I can join with the data I add from different systems, then you get momentum. And that's also when this cultural part comes into play. So really base your decisions based on the data.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's turn it over to Min. So we're joined by the CTO of Lexis Nexus here. And Min, generative AI has been a pretty big shift in the strategy of Lexis Nexus, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about it and how you're using data just like BMW has used data in their Cloud Hub?
Yeah, sure. Just to give a bit of background introduction, Lexis Nexus is a global legal service provider. Our Gen AI solution is Lexis plus AI, which transforms the way how legal practitioners work. It enables them to ask any legal questions, draft documentations, generate summaries, and upload documentation for further analytics. Our Lexis plus AI is powered by a RAG approach, retrieval augmented generation, where you don't directly utilize large language foundation model to answer the question. Instead, you ground those models to answer the question based on Lexis Nexus authoritative and up-to-date content. And because we leverage Lexis Nexus data to answer the question, it raised the bar for us to build this robust content platform that being able to deliver the most accurate, current, reliable content to our customers. And it involves three key areas. First is Gen AI-powered content automation. Second is a resilient data infrastructure. And finally, data governance, including security, privacy, and responsible AI principle. So let me break down a little bit. From content automation perspective, the purpose is really to improve the data quality and to expand the content coverage. We basically utilize both deep learning and Gen AI technology in many use cases, for example, content recommendation, legal metadata extraction, legal topic classification, extractive and abstractive content summarization, and so on. So for those high quality AI outputs, which we have high confidence, we just literally put into a full end-to-end automation. Now, second area is building a robust data infrastructure to accelerate content online time to market and also keep the data resilient. We have been transforming our big data processing platform in near real-time or real-time with low latency and high throughput. For some use cases, that means for the same amount of data, the speed is improved from previously hours into seconds. So it really fast-tracked the data time to market for our customers. But one more thing I want to highlight is we also spend lots of efforts on data resilience and keep our whole Gen AI system resilient. One of the lessons we have learned is the standard of the resilience requirement for our previous non-Gen AI solution is not sufficient for Gen AI solution. This is simply because in Gen AI solution, we have introduced a lot of new things which increase the complexity of resilient requirements. That is why we spend lots of efforts on this area. Like we work out the failover strategy and also about build the end-to-end observability, back pressure mechanism, fault tolerance, circuit breaker, and all those things. Finally, in terms of building security and privacy by design, this is to best protect our client confidentiality. A lot of things have been involved, including building the data segregation measures and also set up a strict control access in terms of who can access what type of data at when, and a compliance program. We also incorporate the responsible AI principle, bring human oversights into the entire journey. One last point for this question is AWS Bedrock has already provided a secure and streamlined environment for us to utilize evolving large language models very easily. With that, that saves us lots of time on model operational management, ensuring the team can focus more on other important things like innovation and delivery.
Yeah, and one of the things that Min has brought up here is how many changes you've had to make with Lexis Nexus in your approach. Another thing that's changing is the regulatory climate in the EU. And so if you think about how governments all over the world are thinking about AI, they are wrestling with the same thing that companies like yourself are wrestling with, which is how do I approach governance? How do I approach compliance? And David, as a leader in Mojave, you are really knee-deep in this right now. And so how do you think we all should think about things like the EU AI Act and where the world of compliance is going with AI and data?
As a quick intro, in Mojave, we are a new energy company with 90 years of history. We are focusing on sustainable energy, and we are going a profound transformation even in our brand. And the approach we have is a people-first approach to data and artificial intelligence governance. For us, it's really important to develop our data management office and work closely, that's important, closely with our business colleagues. We need to work together, and for example, we have developed different roles in the business side as data owners. I think that this is one lesson. Second lesson is data and artificial intelligence democratizations. We are making sure that all our colleagues can be trained in artificial intelligence. And in this case, we have developed more than 2,000 training courses for our colleagues. And we have specialists in the business side. We have built more than 250 citizen data scientists. And then for sure is the compliance with the European Union Artificial Intelligence Act that set specific limits on what we can and cannot do with artificial intelligence. In our case, we are adding ethical principles that we need to also govern. In our case, we needed a specific platform, so we developed an artificial intelligence governance and observability platform. This is important because it's an internal in-house development that allows us first to have the right governance. I think that this is an important lesson for us. Second, human approach. I think that that's another learning. We need to make sure that we are co-creating with our colleagues and customers. And the third area, really important for us, is the sustainability. We need to make sure that we are measuring and optimizing the energy consumptions of all our artificial intelligence developments, and then making sure that we are reducing the potential emissions.
Mm-hmm. So steward of many things, not just data there. You know, one of the things that you brought up too, David, is just the importance of team, the different members of your team and doing all the things that you know you need to do around compliance and regulation. And in BMW, I mean, those statistics that you shared, Marco, those are amazing. How did you think about how to structure your team that uses the data and builds on top of it? And how should we think about how to leverage the most out of our talent with all of these changing environments?
Yeah. So the teams basically in the different domains, so production logistics, customer brand sales, we always organize them in 3 layers, basically. Yeah? So first one, of course, is source layer. How do we enable our landscape to ingest the data? Then we have the prepared layer where data is anonymized, cleaned, enriched with other data sets. And then the last part, the semantic layer, where actually the analysis with the data scientists start. And what we figured along the journey, we were always talking about data scientists being the bottleneck, but we really figured data engineers were even the bigger issue for us. And I think the same is now happening again when it comes to Gen AI. So first thing was you need the data out of your application landscape. And as you can imagine, BMW Group is a large organization, so we have a lot of them. Now with Gen AI, you want agents. Yeah? So you do not only need to pull out the data, but you need transactional access to those systems with roles and rights. You need to add unstructured data to your data assets, vector database, etc., real-time capabilities. So even more engineering needs. And what we did, we built up global hubs, was also sort of an insourcing strategy where we then made sure that we have access to a global talent pool. Yeah? So we have hubs today in the US, in South Africa, in India, really across the globe to leverage the full potential with that teams. And the second part, of course, enable your organization, your employees. So we do a lot of training programs, starting in the business where we, in the beginning, had a data transformation space. Now we have something we call the Pulse, where people can experience and experiment with Gen AI. And the same happens on the engineering side, where we have Platform Academy, where we train the specifics and really make sure everyone in the organization knows our tools, how we use it, and leverage the maximum potential of the stack.
Yeah, focusing on the talent and the team development is just so important. I mean, you can't have a digital transformation without cultural change. It just won't happen. And everything that we're doing now, and we're seeing this big shift into AI, it requires both cultural change as well as the technology shifts that we're talking about. So, Min, coming back to you. So the AI solution that you have developed in Lexis Nexus, how does it change how you think about the trustworthiness of data? Does it change it? And then what do you do to help build that sense of trust in your data?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I want to highlight this. The nature of legal domain is always trying to look for something more precisely. So that means the requirement on data quality, answer quality actually is higher because it goes beyond just a single metrics of accuracy. Our customers may perceive whether our product, Gen AI solution, is trustworthy from multiple dimensions. Like that includes whether customer feel answer as useful, relevancy to the questions, authority of the sources mentioned in our answers, comprehensiveness and fluency of our answers, as well as they're looking for minimal or even no hallucination in our Gen AI solution. So the bar is already very high, and we want to address all of them. We have been working on 3 key areas in order to provide higher quality answers to our customers. And first is we have employed a multiple model approach. Basically, that means each model applying for a specific use case independently in order to optimize our user experience. This is simply because the level of quality and speed, along with different models, may vary across different use cases. And second of all is the evolution of our RAG approach. This is so critical for us to continuously improving and providing a higher quality answer to our customers. We have evolved our RAG approach from base RAG, focusing on semantic search, to graph RAG. Basically, that means we build a knowledge graph on top of semantic search to supplement the limitation of semantic search. And now we're working towards agentic RAG. We will be building a set of autonomous agents that are capable of dynamically answering customers' questions across different scenarios through self-directed planning, tool use, reflection, and multi-agents collaborations. And the final area is we have been building a very sophisticated evaluation mechanism before we launch any enhancement or new solution to our customers. And that is a hybrid approach, combines both automated rating as well as human review for final answer quality. We have built a proprietary large language model powered auto rating framework. This is really reduce significant human efforts on those low promising experiment results, as we only present the most promising result for those human to review. And with this hybrid approach, we can best assure the answer quality to our customers, while it can also accelerate innovation to the market.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things you said, Min, I think is quite important and quite common across a lot of our customers that are building both agentic workflows as well as using LLMs. It's the use of multiple models. Yeah. And David, for Moave, you are doing some pretty innovative things with the factory that you're building, and you're using a lot of different models as part of that too, right?
Yeah, it's true. We have been working on generative artificial intelligence a couple of years, but we have built over a strong data strategy foundation. We have been working across the last 6 years for over 400 data-driven digital projects across 12 data domains. And based on this experience, we have built a new generative AI factory. The focus is about making sure that we are developing agents and assistants at scale. I think that this is really important for all of us in the audience today. And we are making sure with this factory that we are reusing the different modules and components of our developments in terms of agents and assistants. And for us, it's also important we have an API of LLMs, so we can choose the best LLM, not just in terms of accuracy or in terms of cost. I think that this is something that in the morning we have also talked about this, but also in terms of the energy consumption and potential emissions. For us, it's really important to handle this. And based on this generative artificial intelligence platform, we have built different cases. For example, we have these assistants and agents to empower our field technicians in the service stations or in the energy parks in order to access the right procedures. And then we are empowering our engineering teams or even HR and corporate functions. And these developments in generative AI, they are part of our developments on applied artificial intelligence. And for example, we are designing, building, and operating digital native plants of biofuels and green hydrogen. And that's really an important application of this generative AI factory.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's fascinating to hear all of these different perspectives across so many different industries and countries. Well, in our last few minutes, what I wanted to do is to ask each of our panelists to share some words of advice. We have so many people in the audience at different stages of your journey with both data and AI. What would you give as your words of wisdom based on what you've learned? Maybe starting with Marco.
Yeah, so I think one piece of advice I'm pretty sure everyone has heard in the audience is invest in data quality and your metadata. And this really starts in the business process. I think if you collect wrong data in your business process, there's no chance the technical teams will fix that. So that is really something that is important, a very close interplay between business and IT. And I always tell my teams also, go to where you can see the process in production, in logistic, in the customer brand sales area. Go to a dealership and experience how the data is collected, because that will help you to ensure that we have the right data quality. So that's really the first one. Second one, I think, and that's something we do not talk enough about, is invest in preparing your landscape. Every big organization has a lot of legacy applications, and I believe it's often underestimated how much effort it is to ensure robust, resilient ingest of the data from those systems. And now with AI and generative AI, as I mentioned earlier, I think this challenge is even growing. Then the third piece of advice is leverage the power of generative AI. I really believe generative AI can break down silos between business and IT, because it just eliminates technical barriers for the teams on the business side. And what we're currently doing, we're rolling out, growing our ecosystem, our group AI assistant. It's a platform where every employee can build his or her little agents, use those. So self-service approach. Of course, the basis is our data we have in our cloud data hub, and now we're really going the next step. And the last piece of advice is strike the right balance between build and buy in your organization, because I think at the moment the market is so dynamic. Yeah? You really want to stay in a position where you are in the driver's seat, and I believe to do that you have to be able to also engineer the specifics in your organization. Yeah? And for example, with our cloud data hub, our data AI portal is something we build ourselves. Underlying, we use a lot of managed services that we, of course, source and do not build ourselves.
Some words of wisdom from BMW Group. Helpful. Thank you, Marco. David, back to you.
In my case, I would say use artificial intelligence to accelerate your energy transition and decarbonization journey. I think that this is important. At the end of the day, for sure, we are realizing that we have a profound, strong business impact in terms of growth and transformation. In our case, we are realizing that our artificial intelligence application has a return on investment over 300% each year. So this is huge. But on the other hand, we need to make sure that we are having a positive impact. And according to the World Economic Forum, artificial intelligence application has a potential to reduce our emissions between 5 and 10% by 2030. I think that this is a really good news. And my final thought is that let's make a positive impact with artificial intelligence.
And one of the things that's always impressed me with what the Moave has done too is that you always have a view on those efficiency numbers, right? So part of it is just managing the metrics for how you land your success in your business there.
Yeah, I think that it's important that we deliver results. It can be in terms of growth. It can be in terms of reduction of our emissions. And I think that this is something that resonates with our colleagues and shareholders. I think that this is something important because we are showing the return of all these artificial intelligence investment efforts. I think that this is the good news. We can focus on not just metrics, but also in value that we are generating with artificial intelligence.
Yeah, that's super important. Man, what words of advice would you have from the journey that Lexis Nexus has been on to date?
Yeah, I probably do a quick one. So if you are like us, constantly working on innovative idea to differentiate yourself, your solution or your product in the market, please keep in mind, in parallel, you should also develop a robust data platform to sustain and scale your AI innovation or whatever innovation in the long run. And that includes content automation to improve the data quality, expand the data coverage, and a robust data infrastructure to accelerate time to market your data online, as well as keep your data resilient, data measurement validation to prevent your data from being degraded, as well as data governance, including security, privacy, responsible AI, and brings human oversights into the entire journey.
And I think if there's another takeaway that I would have from the conversation with our panelists today, When we put together this panel, we know that data is at the forefront of everybody's mind because it's driving everything from the analytics that runs your business to the data that you use to build your models or fine-tune. And it's closely tied to the resiliency of your business because I think it was Marco, you were saying the pace. The pace is just outstanding right now for innovation. And it's the pace of the model development, these agentic infrastructures and their capability. For human, you've talked about that with Lexis Nexus and how that's being adopted. And really, you're just talking about months now. You're not talking about years. You're talking about months, and those months are in the single digits for how quickly the underlying technologies are evolving. And so when we talked about this panel, we talked about the resiliency of your business. The resiliency of your business is tied to your ability to innovate at the speed of light, it seems. And that is also tied to your data, which is also being used so much in all these different industries to differentiate what your innovation is within your space. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for joining us at this panel. I want to say a big thank you to my esteemed panelists. And thank you for sharing all of your stories and your lessons learned.
Thank you for having
Thank you.
Thank you.